Hey kids! So this video is sponsored by Sta-Bil. If you're not familiar with the product, I wasn't that familiar with the product either. They happened to reach out to me, and then that weekend I was hanging out with my brother and I mentioned it to him and he said, "Oh, Sta-Bil, that stuff is amazing." And I said, "Well, maybe we should do this video together then." Anyway, so before we do that, I have a dad joke for you. So 4 engineers get in a car and it won't start. The mechanical engineer says, must be the starter. The electrical engineer says, it's a dead battery. The chemical engineer says, impurities in the gasoline. The IT engineer says, hey guys, let's get out of the car and get back in. So anyway, I thought it would make sense to have Rick explain this to you. So here's Rick.
Hi guys, this is Rob's brother Rick. He asked me if I wanted to be part of talking about gas stabilizers, Sta-Bil in particular. And when he asked me that, I thought, heck yeah, I love this stuff. It has saved my shoulder from pulling and pulling and pulling, trying to get something started in the spring. And if you're like me, after suffering through winter, you're kind of waiting to get outside, and at last you get to outside and work in the yard, and you got to start your stuff and it won't start. It's just so frustrating. And a lot of times the reason that it won't start is because of bad gas. Your gas has gone bad, it's stale, it's hard to start with it, and what could even be worse is that gas has gotten kind of like thicker, like varnish. It gets old, and it will plug up the carburetor. You may have to replace your carburetor. You may have to, if you're not handy with that, maybe have to take it into somebody. So it could cost you money, and you can avoid all that by using a stabilizer in your gasoline, adding it to it when it's fresh. And Sta-Bil is a brand that we're going to show you. And first part of stabilizer is Sta-Bil, easy to remember. Okay, and this stuff, some of the stuff will keep your gas fresh for up to 2 years, which is quite a while. For myself, I use it in my gas cans year round. I don't worry about, I got to put it in there right before winter. This way I don't have to worry about it. I just keep it in there, and I know my gas is going to be fresh. As a matter of fact, some people use this. Some of it is designed to be used in your cars year round. I've started to do that with my Jeep, because now that I'm retired, I don't use it as much, and so it's kind of nice to know my gas is always going to be fresh. One thing I want to talk about, okay, in this is safety. I really want to stress safety, okay, to whoever's listening to this. And a lot of times, safety is just common sense. You got to be thinking about what you're doing, okay? Now, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be dealing with gas cans, gasoline, right? And even this stuff here that goes in it, pretty much anything that's going to deal with gasoline is going to be flammable. It's going to catch fire really easily, right? Another thing is, it's poisonous. You don't want your kids to get a hold of this stuff. Be thinking about what you're dealing with, and so you got to be careful. And one of the things that about being careful, and we'll cover this later, is when you go to fill up your gas cans. So you put the gas cans in your car, they're empty, you drive there. Well, you don't fill them up right in there in the car. You take them out of your car, put them on the ground next to the pump, get everything ready, and then you put the gas in. Because if you don't, you could actually cause a static electricity charge in your car, create a spark, and possibly cause a flame. I think at the most gas pumps they kind of mention that, don't do that, but don't do that. And another thing I want to mention is never, ever, ever use gas around a fire. I know of some kids that got burnt really horribly, and you just don't do it. It's very explosive, and so be very careful handling gasoline. Okay, I can't stress enough. I'm going to say some of these things again later, because I want it to be impressed upon your mind to be very safe when you're doing this. And we're going to look at 3 different Sta-Bil products today, and these are meant for gasoline engines. They also have products for diesel engines, but we're not going to be covering those, okay, but just so you know. The first product we're going to look at today is Sta-Bil Storage. okay? And this is for long-term storage. It keeps the fuel fresh for up to 24 months, it says right there. This is for use for people with classic cars, and for people that they just kind of want to be kind of safe for if their stuff stays stored longer. So this you can use this. You can use it, and obviously you don't have to. If just because your stuff isn't going to be in storage for 2 years doesn't mean you can't use it. You can use it too. So it's going to stabilize it, but it's going to stabilize it a little bit longer. Now, the next one is 360 protection, right here, and it's good for up to 12 months. There it is. Stabilizes fuel for up to 12 months. So that's one year for this one. It'll be 1 year for the Marine, 2 years for the storage. Okay, that's why they call it storage, I guess. So anyway, the 360 protection is for people who want to use it regularly in their cars. And for me, I've been kind of using Marine, but I might start using this in my Jeep, because since I've retired, my Jeep doesn't drive around as much. My wife and I drive around a lot together, and so she doesn't like to ride in the Jeep so much, so my Jeep doesn't get as much mileage on it. So the gas can go bad, right, like we talked about. And so this would be kind of like for use in your automobiles on a regular basis, okay? It also has additives in it as well to help deal with ethanol and that type of stuff, okay? So that's the difference between it and the storage. The last one I'm going to show you is this 360 Marine. You see that there? And this is meant for being around humid or wet conditions, because the ethanol and gas wants to draw moisture out of the air and bring it into your gas tank, which can be a problem. And so I know that when the ethanol fuels first came out, I noticed reading about people that were really having problems with their boat motors and gas in their boat motors. And so they Sta-Bil developed this 360 Marine, which helps to, has something there that bonds to the water and it helps it burn up and get out of your gas. So for myself, to be honest with you, I kind of use this for everything, because we live in kind of a rainy climate where we're at. So there's a lot of moisture in the air, and if you get condensation on your gas tank or whatever, so I'm overkill a little bit maybe, but it's good for use with that as well. Now, next thing I want to tell you about this stuff is I looked up on the internet. It has and went to their website. It has a 5-year shelf life. All these bottles, okay? So that means if it's unopened, that's good for 5 years, okay? Now, once you open it, it's good for 2 years. After 2 years, it's not really doing anything, okay? So keep that in mind, I guess. And then also, if you wonder how old that bottle is that I've got, well, they actually stamp a date on there of when it was manufactured, right across there. And this one here reads 19326. Okay, so the first two numbers is the year that it was manufactured, 2019. And the next 326, that's the day of the year. So if you started counting January 1st as 1, on around to the end of the year, so that's made towards the end of 2019. So that's fairly fresh, So anyway, it's something you can look for, and if you're wondering how old the can is that you've got in your garage, now you know how to figure that out. Okay, for all these different products here, they have their own mixing instructions, right? So go to the back of it. It says, let's see. Okay, 1 ounce treats 5 gallons of fuel, okay? So that'd be 1 ounce of this. So you would, when you would go to the pump, you would dump out a little bit and check and see, okay, we're down to, if you got a 5-gallon can, then you just want to use 1 ounce. So you just dump it in there that far, okay? Same with this one, although this probably is different. Let's see how many gallons this. Okay, 1 ounce treats up to 2.5 gallons. So if you had a 5-gallon tank, you'd have to put 2 ounces of this in there. And again, so now you starts at 10, you dump a little bit in there till you get down to 8. Now you got your 2 ounces, okay? Now, with the Marine here, let's see what it takes, okay? 1 ounce treats 10 gallons. So now you'd only need a half of an ounce of this for 5 gallons, right? And so those you kind of just dump it out until you get down to where you are. This is a little bit different. You actually measure it into a little part of this other part of the bottle. You measure it in there by squeezing it. After I take this cap, I squeeze that in there till you get your half an ounce. If you got 5 gallons, squeeze that much in there, and then take that over and dump it into your gas can. Okay, so again, I want to talk about being safe. This stuff is poisonous, right? Be smart. Don't leave it around your kids. And, you know, obviously teach your kids never to drink anything they don't know what it is. But anyway, keep it away from them. Okay, so it has a child-resistant cap. I'd say child-proof, but there's probably kids that could figure it out. So just keep it away from them. Okay, so let me take this off of here. And then now it has a seal on it as well. Remember I said about once the seal's broken, now it's good for 2 years. Okay, so just take a car key and puncture that. And there you go. Now you want to make sure that that stuff isn't a piece of that stuff that falls into your tank, right? So be careful when you do that. Make sure it's pushed up against the side. Or if you want to be real careful and cut it out with a knife, I never do. But anyway, obviously you don't want that to get in there. Okay, now once that seal is broken, then you just squeeze that and get the amount that you want. It said half an ounce for 5 gallons. You said a full ounce for 10 gallons. Divide that by 2, obviously, and you got half an ounce. That's where I'm sitting. So that's what, with my 5 gallon can I'm going to show you over here, that's what I would dump in. Okay, we're going to pretend like we're at the gas pump right now. And the first thing that you want to do is take your gas can out of your car. Do not leave it in your car. Bring it over, set it right next to the gas pump. Okay, don't have the gas pump ready yet. Just be right next to the gas pump, and you take your cap off of your gas. You've metered out the proper amount of Sta-Bil. Boom. Okay, I'm going 5 gallons. Got my half ounce, and then you dump it in. Okay, set it down. Now, obviously, I didn't dump it in right now. I got the cap on. What was this guy thinking? He left the cap on. I'm not doing it right now because I'm not at the gas pump. So you want to do this right when you're at the gas pump. Okay, boom, dump it in. Then you get your gas, and let's just pretend like this is a nozzle for now. You got your gas. You pour some in there. Pour in, you know, like just, I don't know, less than a gallon. Okay, and then you slosh that around. Be careful not to slop it out of there, but slosh that around. It's all mixed good, kind of like you're mixing paint. Mix it, mix it, mix it. Put it back down. Boom, put it back in there. And actually you could, I was thinking about this, you could just leave the nozzle in there and go like that, but don't squeeze the nozzle while you're doing this. Slosh it around, boom, and then fill it up the rest of the way. Put your gas pump away, you're done, right? And then this becomes the top of this tank again. You screw that on there with your filled up gas can. Then you take it and you shake it around a little bit more. Shake it around, get it all mixed up real good. Kind of the same way you do with 2-cycle oil for your 2-cycle engines, like your chainsaw or whatever. Shake that up. Now you can put it back in your car, carefully back in your car. Okay, some final thoughts about this product, Sta-Bil. Again, I love this stuff. It's great stuff, but it's not going to fix old gas, okay? Nothing's going to do that. So you have to add it to fresh gas. That's why it's best to add it right at the pump, right? Or let's say you don't have it on you, you fill up your gas can at the pump, bring it home, dump it in there right away, mix it together, okay? So that's going to be fine, but it's not going to renew old gas. If you have old gas in your tank, you're going to have to run that machine, get that gas tank low or out of gas, and then add this stuff, okay? And when you're getting ready to store your machines for winter, you can't just go fill it with that. You actually have to run some of this stuff through your engine, okay? So that now your carburetor's full of the fresh gas, the stabilized gas, okay? A couple other last points. if you've got like an old tractor like I've got with a big metal gas tank on it, before I put it away for winter, I need to fill that thing up as close to the top as I can. Otherwise, the cold air makes water condense and get inside that tank, okay? So if you got things with metal tanks especially, you want to kind of keep your tanks pretty close to the top when you go to store them with the stabilized gas. The other thing is, and some guys will, that's all they use, all they will use is non-ethanol gas in some of their, like their chainsaws or their lawnmowers or all their yard equipment, because it sits for a while. Okay, but Sta-Bil claims that you don't have to do that. I myself, I'm overkill Kenny, and so I do. There's a station not too far from me, so I use non-ethanol gas along with the Sta-Bil. Okay, just to wrap this up, I'll say again, Sta-Bil is a great product. When Rob approached me and said, hey, let's do a thing about putting stabilizer in the gas, it's like, oh my gosh, that's great. Everybody should know this. I didn't know it for years, and I fought my machines every year, you know, when stuff would sit and get old, and replaced carburetors too. So it's a great habit to get into, just using it year round. Okay, so you don't have to guess, oh, do I have Sta-Bil in that gas can or not, as you're getting close to winter. Okay, just use it around. It's not that expensive, and it's good insurance. Okay, so be safe. If I want to be safe, please be safe handling anything like this. Okay, I hope you have a happy next spring using this stuff. You'll be so happy that you did, and I want to thank you for putting up with me. And thank Rob for letting me share this with you. God bless you guys. See you later.